first time on the Shy Life podcast this occurred.
How are you? Are you all right?
Fine, yeah, just calling for a chat. Are you free?
Well, I'm kind of in the middle of something, but I'm sure it'll be okay to chat.
Oh, if you've got people there, I can call back.
No, I'm just halfway up a ladder. I'm painting.
Have you heard any more from Max after what he told you that day?
No, darling, no, I've not. I still can't quite take it in, but oh goodness me. Anyway, I just need to reach up. No, oh damn it! Oh no! Oh!
Bettina, are you all right? Bettina.
Oh, what was that crash? Oh my goodness, Bettina.
Bettina? August.
I don't understand, Paul. What's happened to her?
Well, it seems like it could be amnesia. She's bashed her head, I suppose.
Come on, darlings, we're going to be late.
We'll be there just a second, Bettina. Property. You think this is what needs to happen, yeah? That she needs to go to the hospital for a proper examination. Oh yes, I think so, definitely. She's quite befuddled and, she may have temporary amnesia or whatever this is. I think something needs to be done. All right. And she still thinks you're Max. Yes, she thinks I'm Max in a disguise. It's fine. Let's just get going. All right, let's get in. Blimey. Yes. Are you right? Are you in, August Damius?
I am. I won't say much. I'll just sit here with a horrified look on my face.
I don't blame you. Oh dear. It won't take long. We'll get to the hospital quick.
Max, what's wrong with you? You seem on edge.
I am a little bit on edge, yes. But it'll all be fine.
Oh, come closer, sweetheart. Don't be so nervous. What's wrong with you? Are you still playing a part? You can drop the accent now.
Oh, well, no, Bettina,
Oh, come here, darling. We're married after all. If you can't smooch at a party, then, where can you smooch? Oh, I love the 1970s. I feel so liberated.
Yes, you look liberated.
I want to get my hair done. I must look a mess. I can't seem to find a mirror in the whole house.
No, I'm sure. Yeah. Great. Listeners, we've got to go. Oh dear. 1970s Bettina. I think we really do need to call on Aunt Tappy. Oh dear. Gosh. Oh my goodness. Whatever next. Well, the 1980s would be next, but anyway. What a palaver.
Now we will continue our story, so don't go away. Here we come! Exclamation.
Hello. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Good luck, studio.
And now, another really exciting episode of the Shy Life podcast.
Oh, it's the Shy Life podcast.
All I wanted was a pie, and then I hatched out of an egg.
Okay, bring the mic over. He's ready to record.
It's the quiet ones you've got to watch, you know.
Is it metaphorical? Is it deep? Is it deep?
Boy, he's not all that shy, is right.
Blimey, Governor, it's the Shy Life podcast.
Excellent.
500.
Bonjour et bienvenue au podcast The Shy Life.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Shy Life podcast with me, Paul the Shy Yeti. How are you doing? I'm all right. So what's this episode going to be about? Well, I guess it's a kind of sequel to one that we released recently concerning Bettina. Now, those of you who heard that episode may remember that, she and I were talking on the phone. She was in the middle of some DIY, converting a room in her house for a study because August had been slowly encroaching over a lot of the other rooms that she used to have access to. And so she decided that this room was going to be just for her, and she was working on it herself. I mean, of all things, she's not a DIY expert. She could have got people in. Times are not as hard as they were for her, when we first met her. She does have the money. She could have paid for somebody to do the work, but I guess it was a little hobby for her, a little project. And anyway, she fell off a ladder. And we presume she banged her head. And although she was fine in herself, she reverted to her 1960s self. She thought it was the 60s. We had to lure her to a hospital by saying it was a party venue. She mistook Cromitty for her husband Max. She wasn't really sure who I was, and she thought Yeti Uncle John was the gardener. And thankfully she didn't see Ick. I'm not sure what she would have thought about poor old Ick. But anyway, she was released from hospital, and the only change we noticed is that she kind of shifted along the timeline. She no longer referred to Max. In fact, she was cross with Max. And they had divorced, I think, in the mid to late 60s. So, and the last time we spoke to her, she was talking about going to David Bowie and Roxy Music and T-Rex concerts, and couldn't work out why Tappy wasn't around. So maybe she'll eventually reach the 2020s. But for now, she's still somewhere in the 70s. And we're hoping to get Aunt Tappy involved in this episode. We've been keeping her away from mirrors because the doctors aren't sure whether, if she sees how much older she is than she thinks she is, that it could be a shock. Anyway, let's run the theme music. When we come back, we'll continue our story from where we left it off. All right, run that theme music.
Darling, it's the Shy Life podcast.
Yes, but it's a positive thing. The High Life, the Shy Life.
You won't find a cast of characters like this everywhere.
Hello, Paul.
I'll go anywhere for potato.
Delicious.
Hello, campers. How are you?
You quite like a big bang, don't you, Paul?
Go Shy Yeti.
Oh, I hope he hasn't found out my secret. I think he has.
If you thought that was bad, just listen to this.
Yeah, I'm strangely drawn to Yeti Uncle John's ankles as well.
But has the Shy Life podcast slowed down? I don't think so.
It's all gooey and easy. Yum, 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 yum.
Has anyone seen my hot sausage?
Oh, I can't wait for it to begin.
It's the Shy Life podcast.
I like that. Yeah.
Marvellous, Paul.
So yes, as I was saying before, this episode is partly about how Bettina is, but there'll be other things going on, as ever. I'm sure there'll be quizzes and, I don't know, Sutton Park clips, and all the usual things, and maybe some chatting with other guests. But the situation with Bettina is that she fell off the ladder and suffered some form of concussion, which made her think she was back in the 60s. And we were kind of hoping that this would, be a short-term thing. And it kind of has been and hasn't been. It certainly hasn't, cleared up overnight. But what actually is happening is that she's slowly moving through the decades, remembering things. So I think the last time we spoke to her, she was in the 70s the other day. I don't know if that's since we've spoken to you, but anyway, she's slowly rolling through the decades and obviously acting like she did in those decades. So it's all a bit confusing. We just hope that she'll reach the 2020s and then stop. She won't sort of go beyond it. I'm sure that won't happen, Paul. I really don't think that will happen. That's kind of unlikely. Are you sure, Cromitty? I think so. I don't think she can live the life that she has not lived yet. Well, Yeah, I know what you mean. I just thought maybe she'd roll off into fantasy. I mean, she's kind of living in a fantasy from the past at the moment, so I know what the human brain's like. You do, Paul? Well, to a certain extent. Not in a scientific way like you or Ick, but or even Mr. Trowbridge. But I just thought that, who knows, she might begin to go beyond. Well, I don't think that will happen. We're not there yet anyway. Do you know what year she's reached? Well, I believe she is coming to the end of the 70s. When I spoke to Martin yesterday, I could hear her on the phone. She was very, she was looking for Aunt Tappy, to be honest. She wanted to go to Studio 57. Is that right? 62, 48. It was Studio 54. I believe there was a Club 57 as well, but I think around the same time. I don't know the difference. Well, I know that I think Studio 54 is the one that you probably mean. Oh, yes, Studio 54. Yes. Yeah. She was quite enthusiastic.
Darling, where is she? I can't seem to get in touch with her. We were supposed to be going for brunch. Oh, I expect she stayed out at Studio 54 to the small hours and is sleeping it off. It's possible, Bettina. I'm not sure. I'm sure she'll reply to... You've left a message on her aunt's machine. Yes, darling, I have. I've left many messages. Oh, dear. I didn't recognise the number at all. It wasn't the number I was thinking of, but it's the only one that seems to be in this address book. Oh, dear. I don't understand it at all. Maybe I'll just go down there, darling. Maybe I'll just go down there. August asked me to keep an eye on you. Darling, what do you mean? I don't understand. August. Who is August? And who are you? Are you my babysitter? My butler? I don't understand. You lot talk a lot of nonsense sometimes. I think you're doing it deliberately to confuse me. Are you my agent or something? I don't recognise you. Or is August my agent? I really am befuddled. Oh, I think I need to have a lie down.
I must admit, I'm a bit befuddled. What was Martin doing over there? Well, Paul, August had to go out and, just to get shopping and things. And, well, he didn't want to come back and find out that she'd flown to New York or something. Oh, right. So Martin was babysitting, like she said. Pretty much, yes. Oh, dear. Of course, she didn't understand who he was. She doesn't even know who August is. She's confused. She thinks that one of them must be her agent. It is upsetting. Yes, it is. Oh dear. So is it safe for us to go over? Well, Paul, that is debatable. Yes, I'm not sure. I just wish she'd get back to normal. Everyone has to pretend to be things they're not. Yes, well, of course, when she sees August, she thinks he's Damius. But, most of us weren't even on the scene when she was going to Studio 54. But I expect by the time we arrive over there that, we'll be in the next decade altogether. Well, we'll just have to pretend to be part of her posse. Part of the people she hangs out with. Yes, well, anything we can do to hurry her on back to the 2020s. Well, that's decades away. I think we need to consider this whole business about the mirrors. She's going to have to see a mirror at some point. Yes, Paul, I had considered that myself. Although it could be a shock that jolts her back into the here and now. Yes. But I do want to get Aunt Tappy, at least on Skype, to have a word with her. Bettina seems to become quite agitated about where she is. And obviously, back in the 70s, I think that was one of their key decades for hanging out. Do you know exactly when they met? Sometime in the 60s, I think. probably towards the end of her marriage to Max. I believe Tappy does have some memories of Max. None of them good, of course. Well, no. But, yeah, you know, the late 60s, all of the 70s, and quite a lot of the 80s, they were big chums. Yes, Paul. And then they fell out in the late 80s, is that right? Yes, over a man who I think turned out to be an alien. I forget now. We did discuss it on the show many years ago. Yes. And then they were out of contact. I think they were out of contact for, I don't know if there were any exceptions, but I think they were out of contact the 90s, the noughties, I guess until the middle 10s. Well, we reunited them around, I don't know, 2017, was it? So they've been back friends again for what, over 5 years now? Something like that, yes. Yeah. It's really sad when you think of it, isn't it? What's that, Paul? Well, they were such good friends, and there were all those years where they could have continued their friendship, and yet they didn't. You know, 25 years. They were out of contact, as far as I understand it. A bit more than 25 years. Think of all the fun they could have had in the 90s and the noughties, travelling around and doing things. And I know Tappy's been involved with Doppy's Smellcast since the early 2010s, but I'm not quite sure, you know, what she had been doing in those 25 plus years. I think Bettina's career was sort of, you know, less successful by the 90s and noughties. I mean, I think if anything, her career is sort of revived in the last 5 years. Paul, it is all to do with the success of the podcast. I'm not sure that's true, but I think you often find it. Some of those actresses, and it often seems to be actresses that were perhaps, I don't know, in films in the late 60s and 70s. Maybe they played a vampire in a Hammer film, but only for a few scenes. But now, because time has moved on, they are still a connection to, you know, the past, and they maybe worked with famous people like Peter Cushing or Vincent Price or whatever, and it's like a connection. And so certain directors who are more like, I don't know, my age or a bit younger, they're kind of like, oh, we must get that person involved because, you know, they were never really appreciated in their time, and they could be appreciated now. And yeah, it's kind of nice in a way. Some of these people, they have a renewed career in their, I don't know, older years. Yes, Paul, I know what you mean. It's just a shame that I think it was probably in the 90s and noughties that Bettina had to start giving away bits of her house and, you know, turning it over to that charity. Yes, well, Paul, things aren't as bad as they were. It definitely helped finding those spiders. Oh, yeah. Listeners, I don't know if you know this. You probably do if you've listened for many years. Well, I think one of the things that has improved her fortunes is meeting Damius or August. I mean, except for when he went missing, but when they were just romantically involved and not, you know, not married. They did that tour of Europe in a caravan, doing plays in different towns. I think that got her quite a lot of good press. But as I mentioned, yeah, she found out that the spiders, some of the spiders that lived, some in the attic, some in the cellars, that their webs were very rare and were very highly sought after, which definitely helped with her fortunes, as it were. Yeah, and people have been calling on her for voiceover work and the occasional, you know, conventions. Oh yes, horror conventions, science fiction conventions. She was in a lot of films. She was, I mean, mostly in the 60s and 70s, but yeah, the sort of films that people are interested in, you know, and European films as well. Not necessarily mainstream blockbusters. And I think that's the thing. In the last 5 or 10 years, there's been a lot more interest in lesser known films because there's so many films out there that perhaps weren't widely distributed or were less known. And the big mainstream films, I mean, some people love talking about them, but I mean, how much more can be said about films like Star Wars or Jaws or you know, all of those, you know, much bigger films. And you know, it's those sorts of films, the Star Warses or the, you know, the Halloweens, which are kind of the films that, you know, mainstream cinema goers really love. But a lot of people get fed up of hearing about those and start exploring more obscure areas of cinema. But listeners, you may remember we've talked to Bettina about some of her obscure films from the 60s. They're getting such a cult following now. It's great. I mean, and Damius is in, or August is in a lot of those, in small roles, playing tea kettles or hat stands, or I don't know, various different things. He was a very he was a very talented you know, actor, that he could carry off all kinds of weird, wonderful roles. But anyway, listeners, far too much nattering. We really ought to get over to Bettina and see how she is. Is Yeti Uncle John going to drive us? I think he probably will. Do you think that she'll still think he's the gardener? She probably will still think he's the gardener. I'm sure that Ick must better do something with all his time travel stuff. Well, as I say, anything we do could have a potential negative reaction. I think I want to go and speak to him, though. Go and speak to him before we go over. And I need to go and fetch Yeti Uncle John anyway, because we need him to drive us over. All right, Paul, well, you go and do that. Maybe I'll go and speak to Yeti Uncle John. Well, I mean, I've got to walk past the Magpie Hut. You can come with me to Aches if you want. Well, okay. I'll come with you as far as the Magpie Hut anyway. Okay. Listeners, sorry. This is all very confusing, but it's all very confusing for us. We just want to help Bettina, but we don't know how best to speed things up. We want her to be back to her usual self. It's very confusing having to pretend to be different people and or whatever we're doing. But yes, we'll go and speak to Ick and speak to Yeti Uncle John, and then we'll go over. And I don't know, I still think if we can get Aunt Tappy to speak to her, that, I don't know. It's just not knowing what to do. It's confusing, Paul. But yes, listeners, I think it's time for a clip, maybe a Sutton Back clip or a quiz or something. And yes, when we come back, we'll speak to the others and then make a plan of what to do. I mean, maybe us showing up is a bad thing. We could just be confusing her even more. I don't think that's the case, Paul, but yes, well, we ought to get moving. Yes, I guess we should. Listeners, have a listen. Have you got any questions for me?
Yes. I might have to put my little light on. Here we go. 1980s. Which American singer had her first top 10 hit in Britain in 1986 with What Have You Done For Me Lately?
Janet Jackson.
Yeah. It's one of those ones where I think, was it Jodie Watley?
Yeah, Jodie Watley's a funny one. Jodie Watley
came up in Pointless the other day.
Jodie Watley's weird because I don't really know anything, but I think she was massive in America, much bigger than she was over here, Jodie Watley. And I think she might have had like one hit over here, but she had like 10 in America.
Well, I didn't mean, I don't know what that was. Not sure. Look it up. 90s. In 1997, Never Ever became the first number one for which group?
All Saints.
Yeah. 21st century. Which singer had her third consecutive number one hit in 2000 with Bag It Up?
Jerry Halliwell.
Correct. Titles. Complete the title of Radiohead's 1997 hit, Paranoid.
Android.
Yes. This is initials, which 1991, originally 1962 song by The Clash, or 1982, that's it's tiny, really tiny, these numbers. Basically, which famous Clash song has the initials SISOSIG?
Could I stay or could I go?
Yeah.
Should I stay, sorry.
Oldies, the Flying Pickets had the Christmas number one in 1983 with Only You. Who had the original hit in 1982?
Yeah, Zoo.
Correct. They waited a whole year before releasing it. Well, you went through that card. Hopefully there'll be a rap one. 1980s. Joe Fagin's 1984 song, That's Living All Right, was a theme to which TV series?
Auf Wiedersehen, Pat.
Yeah. I'd have got that as well. 90s. What is the real name of Fatboy Slim?
God.
There's a longer bit, but it's basically what's his real name.
Yeah. I know.
He had hits with Rockefeller Skank and Praise You.
I know that. But I've just gone blank. It's Mr. Ball. Yeah.
Johnny Ball.
I've just gone blank. I know who it is.
I'll let you come back to that at the end of the card.
Okay.
21st century. What does the J stand for in Mary J. Blige's name?
Joanna? I have no idea.
Oh, God. That's Jane.
Jane.
Titles. Complete the title of Boris Gardner's number one hit from 1986. I Wanna
Wake Up With You.
Correct. Initials. Which 1991 song by Seal has the initial C?
C. I can't understand if it was K. Crazy.
Yes.
I was thinking of Killer.
Yeah. Oldies. In 1995, Jimmy Somerville had a hit with Hurt So Good. Who had the first British hit with the song in 1975? I would never have known this. I would never heard of this person.
I feel like. But I think I'm not going to get there either.
No.
So like a one-titled male name, I think.
No.
It's not.
You couldn't be further from the truth. It's Susan Cadogan.
Oh, never got that. No. I was thinking of somebody else.
Fatboy Slim. He was in the House Martins as well.
Yeah. What's the initials?
NC.
I can't even get it from that. Completely blanked it. His name. What's it?
You won't be happy about this. It's Norman Cook.
Yeah.
Norman Stanley Fletcher.
I'll mock that card up anyway.
Yeah.
See if we can do one more. It'll
be 1980s. Which Liverpool singer had a hit with Americanos in 1989, taken from his debut album Blast? I was just that the other day.
Holly Johnson.
Yeah. 90s. How many weeks did Wet 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 spend at number one in 1994 with Lovers All Around? Too many weeks.
12.
15.
Ooh.
21st century. Which REM song was covered for an all-star charity single in aid of victims of the 2010 Haiti earthquake?
Probably Everybody Hurts.
Yeah. Titles. Complete the title of Rick Astley's 1991 hit Cry For.
Help.
Yep. Initials. Which 1997 song by the Spice Girls has the initials WDYTYA?
Pick it, lick it, roll it, flick it. Who do you think you are? That was our version.
Oldies. People Get Ready. which was a 1984 hit for Bob Marley and the Wailers, was originally recorded by which band in 1965? People get ready.
No, I don't think I'm going to get an answer to that.
No, I wouldn't know this either. The Impressions.
Definitely wouldn't have got that.
No.
That it.
That's that card, yeah.
Hello?
Hello, Aunt Tappy. It's me, Paul the Shy Yeti. How are you doing?
Oh, Paul. Well, what a surprise, dear. I'm doing fine. How are you?
Oh, I wanted to ask you a favour. I don't know if you've heard what happened to Bettina the other day, where she was decorating a room in her house and she fell off a ladder, and she's fine. Except,
oh my goodness, that's terrible. No, I haven't heard a thing about it. Right, yeah. That Toppy, if he knows, I'm going to be very angry with him that he didn't tell me. Now, well, how is Bettina? Is she all right?
Well, she's got a bit of a concussion. When we first found her, she thought it was the 60s, and she wasn't really sure who any of us were. And there was
dear!
But things have sort of moved on. I think.
Now, how do you mean, dear?
Well, she thought it was the 70s for a few days. We think she's in the 80s now. What we think is happening is that she'll gradually gravitate to the 2020s, and then presumably she'll stop.
Oh, dear.
It'll all be back to normal. But
she's stuck in the 80s now, the poor dear. What a wretched decade that was. Oh, I'm sorry, Paul. That was your decade, wasn't it? But really, it was a wretched decade. I'm sorry.
Well, we're in two minds, because I've been trying to, suggest that perhaps you had a quick word with her, because I thought that it might trigger something, but the doctors also said that could work, but it could also not work, or it could even be negative. But I think we're at the stage where...
Nonsense, dear. I don't care what the doctor says. Put her on and I'll get her straight.
Well, the thing is... I'm just aware that, wasn't it the late 80s that where you two sort of lost contact or fell out? Or I'm just worried that we're running out of time. So if you could speak to her almost as soon as possible. I'm just worried that she'll get to a point where if she hears your voice, she'll be, not wanting to talk to you just because of the old problems that are now actually resolved.
I remember that, dear, and I think you're right. That was the 80s. I think perhaps that's why I think it was such a wretched decade. Anyway, no. Well, I'll have to be careful, won't I?
Yes. So I'll let you call her, and then we'll just see how it goes from there.
Oh yes, please, Paul. We must do something.
Right. Okay. Well, I'll let you deal with it, and just need to be just as quick as possible before she slips into the 1990s.
All right, dear. I'll do the best I can.
Thank you. I'm very grateful.
Of course, Paul. Oh, you poor dear. Well, we'll get Bettina all straightened out, won't we?
Yeah, well, I hope so. Yes, I hope so.
Oh dear, Paul. I'm not sure what's best to be done. Have you spoken to Comedy about hypnotism?
Well, I think it has been mentioned in passing, but everyone's really uncertain what to do.
Well, I think the thing that needs to be done is that somebody needs to do something. Not just talk about it.
I know what you mean. Everyone's so worried about something triggering off the wrong reaction. It does mean that nothing's getting done.
Well, what about Aunt Tappy?
Oh, yes, that's good news. I spoke to her. I spoke to Aunt Tappy, and she's going to try and speak to her. That might work. That might help.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Well, I think it will. Hearing a familiar voice that can guide her back to the present.
Yeah, the only problem being, well, we're sort of running out of time.
What do you mean, Paul?
Well, Aunt Tappy and Bettina fell out sometime in the late 80s, I think, over a man. And, well...
Oh, I see what you mean. If she's progressing through the decades.
Exactly. If she's progressed too far, then, well, that'll be no good at all.
Well, I think you need to get on with it.
I think I do. We're going to pop over now.
Oh, gosh. Good. Well, I'd come as well, but she probably won't remember who I am, and it could alarm her.
Yes, and there were alien boyfriends in her past, which may or may not cause trouble. Yes, well, I'll let you go. Yes, thank you. I need to speak to Yeti Uncle John, and hopefully we can get this sorted out.
I do hope so, Paul. I really do.
Yes, Paul, of course. Of course I can take you over. Oh, well, who, you and Cromitty? Yes, please, yes. Yeah. We're just trying to accelerate this whole business, with Bettina. Oh, yes, of course. She's still going through the decades, is she? Yes, but sort of slowly-ish. Last thing we heard, she was around the mid-80s. For one reason or another, we just want things to hurry up. We want her to get back to 2022 and start remembering everybody. Well, you've got quite a long way to go for that. She didn't meet a lot of us until 2016, 2017, something like that, yeah. Other than August, who she knew as Damius, but even then only knew as, a bit part player on some of her films. Yes. Oh, dear. So you've all had to pretend to be people that are part of her entourage, is that right? Yes, we have. And it definitely leads to confusion. We really don't know what to do. We just need to hurry her along. Yes, but the doctors, didn't they say, take care. If you do the wrong thing, it could end badly. Yes, they did say that. And that is a possibility. So, yes, as you say, we need to take it carefully. Yeah, dear, oh dear. Well, I'm ready to go when you are. Okay, I'll just text Cromitty and, shall I meet you over the car park? Yes, please, Paul, yes. Do you think I should pop my head in too? Well, I guess it wouldn't hurt. Okay. Listeners, I think it's probably time for a quiz now or something. Yeah, just whilst we travel over. I really don't know where this is all going to lead. I just hope we can sort it out. Oh, I hope you can too, Paul. Oh, dear. Most upsetting. It is most upsetting. I still blame myself. So you should. If you hadn't have rung us, you wouldn't have lost concentration and fallen off that step ladder. Yeah, thanks for confirming my worries. Oh, it's not really your fault, Paul. You should have come down from the ladder rather than speaking to you. But it's just unfortunate you didn't know. I know I didn't know, but one way or another, it's caused all sorts of trouble. Yeah, it's been weeks now. Oh, dear. Yeah, well, maybe it can be resolved. I do hope so, Paul. So do I. Okay, listeners, have a listen to the quiz. When we come back, we'll be at Bettina's. Okay. So apparently there are podcasts that are quiz podcasts. I must subscribe to a podcast. Like BBC Sounds podcast, best. So you get all these podcasts which are kind of, not like the sort of ones that my friends and I make. They're ones that are done by, they've got money behind them and famous people involved in them. But But some of them, one or two of them sounded like, oh, I might download that particular episode because it's got that particular person. One of them, which I don't think I want to listen to because I don't need to, but it was a quiz one. So it sounds like there are actual podcasts where people do exactly what we've been doing. But probably with a celebrity.
Yeah.
Okay, here's question. Yeah, can I listen to that? I was struggling with all my podcasts as it is. So here are question number 1. Which 4-letter word beginning with G means to castrate an animal?
Oh, geld.
Oh, yeah. You would know that one.
Was there choices for that? Or
no, there wasn't. No. I might have got there. But I wouldn't have known that if it hadn't been from knowing at least knowing something about horse racing. Question 2. Sequencentenary. It's not quite sequencentenary, but SEQUI centenary, sequicentenary, is an anniversary of how many years? So what's the centenary would be 100. So what?
Yeah.
What's sequi going to be?
6 or 7, probably more like 6. Because I think 7 or 7T, 6 or 6D.
Do we think hex? Do we think it's 700 then, or 7? Because it's got the centenary. What's the centenary?
Has it got a P in it?
No. SEQUI centenary. Isn't centenary 100?
Yeah.
So what? 600.
Yeah.
It's a funny.
I think. Well, move on to the next one.
Yeah, it's a funny amount to be celebrating.
No, it's not obvious what it is. You can't really guess.
Question 3. Which 4-letter word beginning with E is the yellowish brown colour of unbleached linen? 4-letter word beginning with E, the yellowish brown colour of unbleached linen.
I don't know. I thought not ecru or something like that.
Could be. Sounds as good as anything. Question 4. I'm going to do this one because this is these words I can't pronounce. The labirophilist. I'll spell it you in a minute. A labirophilist collects what types of bottles? LABEOR philist.
What sort of bottles?
Bottles.
Beer bottles?
Sounds as good as any. Question 5. Cardiophobia is the irrational fear of which organ of the body, in the body?
Cardio?
Yeah, that would be
heart.
Wouldn't it? So you're afraid of your heart. You're going to be chased for your nightmares by a heart. Question 6. Sorrow. SORORAL relates to or is like which member of the family? Sorororo.
Sister.
Question 7. Mixology is the art or skill of preparing what? Isn't that like
cocktails?
Cocktails. Question 8. A logophile or logophile is a lover of what? Books? Or something else? That would be bibliophile, probably, wouldn't it?
It's not bibliophile.
What's logophile?
It sounds familiar, though.
Yeah, trees.
Like you have logarithms and...
Yeah, what's a statistics? I don't know.
Yeah, something like that.
Statistics? Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
If it's trees, that'll be bacon. Question 9. Bell, chum, cahote, and tippy are all types of what? Bell.
Dog food?
Could be, but I was thinking what?
I think of pedigree chum.
I was thinking, what about a bell pepper?
Oh, what about
chum pepper, a cahote? I think.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
Should we go with pepper? It could be. I think it's probably not. Question 10. Dipsophobia is an abnormal fear of doing what? Dipsophobia sounds...
Well, that drinking, because we decided dipsomania.
Dipsomania, yeah.
It's to do with drink.
So it must, yeah.
Fear of alcohol.
Fear of alcohol, getting drunk. Fear of alcohol. Question 11. Gallophobia is the irrational fear of which country and its culture? Would that be France?
France, yeah.
Question 12. Blinker, fountain, rocket, and cake are all types of what? Fountain pen, but that doesn't work with any of the other things.
Rocket was the other one, was it?
Rocket is the third one. Blinker, fountain, rocket, and cake are all types of what? I feel like it should be obvious, but they're quite a weird set of words. Like, the only thing I can think of, let's say, with fountain is pen, but
no.
Can't think. I have to say pen, so I can't think of how that relates to anything else. I can't think of anything that relates to those other ones.
No, me neither.
Relates to them. Question 13. What type of creature is a shad? They're like a lizard.
How's that spelled?
SHAD.
Never heard of it. No idea.
Say lizard, then. Probably.
Say lizard.
Question 14. Guino, Giugno, is Italian for which month of the year? Like July?
June.
June or July? Yeah, it's probably June. I'm surprised I don't know that one. I don't think I know what the months of the year. I probably own calendars that has ones I buy in Venice. The ones I buy in Venice probably have the Italian version.
The Veneto.
Question 15. In medicine, a nullipara is a woman who has never done what? A nullipara. Nullipara. Never given birth, never had sex. Don't know. Never done what? Never breastfed?
Yeah, that'll do.
Okay. Probably too personal. But, it's difficult to think what would be particularly special. 16. Which four-letter word beginning with E is a title of high-ranking office, especially in the Middle East?
Emir.
That sounds right. Question 17. What does a noctambulist do? Something to do with night, presumably.
Yeah, well, a somnambulist is a sleepwalker.
Who doesn't sleep at night, or can't sleep in the dark, or has to sleep with the light on.
Sleeps with the noctambulist, you say?
Noctambulist, yeah.
I don't know.
Can't sleep in the dark. Somnambulist, you say, sleep.
Yeah, somnambulist is a sleepwalker.
It's something.
Unless it's the same thing. Unless it's.
Yeah. I wonder if it's the same thing, but maybe it's.
It's a bit counterintuitive.
I have to move on. Question 18. Which word represents the letter M in the NATO phonetic alphabet?
Mike.
Question 19. Arancione is Italian for which colour? Orange? Or...
Yeah, sounds like it. Arancione.
Arancione, but with an A though, not an O. Question 20. Venerdì is Italian for which day of the week?
Probably Wednesday. Or Friday.
I was trying to think, what's
Friday,
what's Vendredi in...
That's Friday, isn't it?
Yeah, so...
Lundi, mardi, mercredi, jeudi, vendredi, samedi, dimanche.
Yeah, and it's not the same.
Friday, then.
But yeah, it's close enough. This is listeners who don't know, this is where knowing French helps with other languages, because, yeah. And until we find it's totally wrong. Oh God, we got another one, but it's not Italian this time. This is how to learn. 21, I don't think this does help. Knowing French doesn't help with this one. Jueves, Jueves, is Spanish for which day of the week? Monday, Monday. Is it like Thursday?
I'll go Tuesday.
Tuesday, okay. Question 20. It's funny, I We didn't know the days of the week in Spanish, although I've been there loads of times. 22. Which playing card is known as puppy foot?
Puppy foot?
Would that be like the 5 of spades or something? Or I'm just thinking, does one look like the foot of a puppy if you saw it?
It's the first I've heard of it.
No, I've never heard of it either. I say 5 of spades. I've never heard of it called that. Question 23. Which 4-letter word beginning with F is a blunt weapon used in fencing and to thwart or prevent from being successful?
That's foil.
Question 24. Butler, elope, matrix, and Panama are all terms used in which card game? Like bridge or something, is it? Mahjong. Bridge.
Yeah, go for bridge.
Last one. This reminds me of. This reminds me of Rambling Sid Rumpo. Question 25. What does a cordwainer make? Well, I think he was going about a cordwainer.
Oh, a cordwainer.
What's a cordwainer make? Is it bales of hay? Well, it's not. No, it's not cornwainer. It's cordwainer.
Yeah, it's cordwainer.
Do you know what it is?
It's not candles, is it?
I should know that, being a Chandler.
Wasn't Chandler doing fishing things?
I think in candles, I'm sure candles are involved, because that's why my friend Lee years ago made a superhero. He made superheroes about us, and I was Candleman. But I think Chandlers are involved with candles and shipping equipment, and I guess they have to have candles on ships. But,
I was reading something this week. It was about it's to do with COVID. There was an epidemiologist, I think in the States, but she was called Paulette Chandler.
Maybe she's me in another life.
Your alter ego.
Yeah, I have to get over to it. Fortunately, I can't get over there to do that part of the job at the moment. Okay, the results. 4-letter word beginning with G, meaning to castrate an animal, is geld. A sequicentenary isn't what we thought. Isn't as much as 600. No. It's 100. It's 150, but I don't know how that works. The 4-letter word beginning with E, the yellowish brown colour of unbleached linen, is ecru, which I think.
Yeah, I did say that. Yeah.
A laberophilist thing. Collects which type of bottle is beer bottles.
Yes.
Said that. Cardiophobia is the irrational fear of the heart. That's right.
Oh, my heart.
The sorrow is the sister. Mixology is cocktails or drinks. A logophile is a lover of words. We didn't get that, did we? We said books.
Not quite.
Or we said statistics, didn't we?
Yeah.
Bell, chum, coyote, and tippy are all types of tent. We definitely didn't get that. I know there's a bell pepper, so that's why I went with that. Dipsophobia is the abnormal fear of drinking alcohol. We got that. Gallophobia is the fear of France. Blinker, fountain, rocket, and cake are all types of fireworks. Well, I get the rocket, but
I
don't know about blinker.
Don't know the others.
If it was, what's that one? The one that spins, Catherine wheel, or a wheel, I could understand. But, what type of fish is a shad? It's a fish, not a lizard. Guino is Italian for June. Now, I did say this, but I don't think we didn't settle on this one. But it was one of my suggestions. In medicine, a nullipara is a woman who has never given birth to a child. But I think we settled on breastfed. I think I did say.
True, they're both.
Sort of, but I don't think we can get it.
You get half a mark.
Yeah. And I think we did actually say it, but I just didn't settle on it. Which 4-letter word beginning with E is the high-ranking office in the Middle East? That is Emir. Yeah, you were right. When we did say that, we did stick with it, but a noctambulist is a sleepwalker. Maybe that's what it's known more in America. Mike is M in NATO phonetic language. Arancione is Italian for orange. Venerdì is Italian for Friday. I see. I should have. The Jueves is Thursday in Spanish. I think I would have been, if we'd have gone for French. That was the nearest. Lundi, mardi, mercredi, jeudi. You see, that doesn't sound anything like Jueves. It's just got J. So, but it would have been the right one to go with. It's fair enough.
Yeah, somnambulist is an abnormal condition of sleep in which motor acts such as walking are performed.
Well, that is a noctambulist thing. But anyway, which playing card is known as Puppyfoot? Is it the Ace of Clubs?
Well, you are very competent about the.
I think. I suppose I wasn't thinking. I was thinking of the spades being different bits of the foot. Which four-letter word beginning with F is a blunt weapon? That is foil. Butler, elope, matrix, and Panama are apparently yes. We are. I guess we're right. It's contract bridge.
Yeah.
I never heard of Is that different?
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah, I don't know if it's different, but yeah, I've heard of contract bridge.
And a cordwainer makes shoes. We didn't get that right. I think we got 16 out of 25.
That's not bad. Yeah, cordwainer. I mean, I've heard of it.
I think it's a useful.
I think a cobbler.
Yeah, I think
it's one of those ones. If you might forget, I didn't tell you the other week we had like a work social. And they did split us into two. We did like family fortunes or family feud. So you can do that online. And again, it's as dodgy as the program. Things you just wouldn't expect to see up there. And the obvious ones getting a.
I think we've learned some valuable lessons. Everything's glowing in your house. The light's even more like a spaceship, and your ears are glowing now as well.
I'll tell you what, my lobes are hot.
You're turning into a Cyberman. Delete.
But that brightness only exists up there. It's like the rest of the room is dark. These are the fizzy. Have you had these fizzy fish?
Who are they by? No, I've not seen them. Maynard's, Bassett's.
Yeah, so they do those in Sainsbury's. So they're standard. They're very sours.
I'm quite good with my. I was saying to Harry last week. I think it's better to have plenty of nibbles for me than it is if I don't have them. Then that's when I want them most. If I have plenty, then I don't go through them as quickly. I can. It's sort of like having them in the house is a good thing to have them, but I won't eat them all in the space of 5 minutes. Toby gets me those sherbet fruits or whatever. I only have one now and again, but they're quite nice. I bought about a month ago. I bought 2 bags of M&Ms, one with the peanuts and one with the. I'm still only just opened one of those. So, yeah, it's good to have them about. But,
yeah, we have. Well, it's normally got loads of stuff. And, I probably have eaten too much. Well, particularly sweeties more than other stuff. But yeah, it's easy when you're working from home. Obviously, you can just go and get something from the cupboard or whatever.
Oh, we're here. But Brigadier Uncle John. Oh, I think I must have dozed off. I think he did, Cromitty. Oh dear, well, I've been having a few thoughts, but I want to, judge the situation first. Oh, a few thoughts. Cromitty, what sort of thoughts? Well, I shouldn't say in case it doesn't come to pass. Okay, so you coming in yet, Uncle John? I will come in. I just need to check a few things, make sure the brakes are on and I don't go rolling down the hill whilst I'm inside. So I just need to do a few checks. Okay, well we'll go in. Come on, let's go in. Oh look, August is waiting for us at the door.
Hello guys, come in, hurry. Oh dear, she's most distressed.
Most distressed? Why, what's happened?
Oh, well, I think she may have entered the 1990s.
Entered the 1990s? Golly. Oh, did Aunt Tappy just call?
Yes, Paul, she did. Unfortunately, well, it didn't end very well.
Oh, no, it wouldn't do if she called and Bettina thinks it's the 1990s. They'd fallen out by then. I knew we should have done this earlier. We've run out of time. Oh dear, Paul, most distressing, most unfortunate. I'll have to give Aunt Tappy a ring later. Oh, golly. Well, what should we do? Go in and calm her down?
If you would, Paul, I think she thinks you're management, so just tell her about a new picture she's got coming up.
All right, I will. Oh, golly. Yeti Uncle John's here. He'll be in a moment.
All right, then. Oh, dear.
Who does she think you are?
Oh, she thinks I'm Dabius. She doesn't understand why I'm wandering around. You know, we didn't know each other that well in the early 90s, only as colleagues, and even then I was just a bit part player.
Yes, of course. Well, don't worry. Perhaps just keep painting, keep out the way.
Oh, dear. I guess that's probably for the best.
We'll sort this out. Cromitty's got some ideas. Yes, I have. I wonder if things are going to come to a hysterical peak. A hysterical peak? Yes, if she's got upset, this might be the beginning of something.
Oh dear, she's not going to end up back in hospital, is she?
No, not if I can do what I think I may have to do. Okay, very mysterious.
Well, just be gentle with her.
He will be. Oh, I will be. August, don't you worry.
Oh, well, I'll go and paint something. Oh dear. Oh, I'm all of a tizzy.
Yes, I quite understand. Don't worry, maybe this will be sorted out by the end of today. Oh dear, I hope so. Oh golly. Come on, let's go in.
I don't believe her, that damned woman. What's she doing calling out of the blue? Oh dear, oh dear. Oh, what are you two doing here?
Bettina, we've got some good news for you.
Oh, well, I could do with some good news. You never believe what happened.
Oh, what happened, Bettina?
That damned woman, Tappy. Oh, she called me out of the blue. We haven't spoken in, 2 or 3 years, it must be. Oh, and she just called me up like nothing had changed. Like it was the old days.
Oh, gosh, I wonder what triggered that off.
Well, I don't know. She said she wanted to catch up. She was wondering if I was okay. We agreed never to speak again. Oh, well, and I haven't called her. So, she's a weak woman. I knew she couldn't resist me, that she would come crawling back and apologise.
Oh, did she apologise?
No, she did not. But only because I put the phone down on her.
Oh, well, maybe you could have made things up. Maybe you're right. Maybe she was trying to call. Maybe she was trying to make up for past misdemeanours.
Well, I'm not ready to apologise. And I'm not ready to forgive or forget. Even though I can't quite remember exactly what it is we were fighting about. But anyway, I'm not speaking to her. I haven't spoken to her for 3 years, and I won't speak to her for another 3 years. See how she likes that. Maybe I'll consider it after that. Or maybe I won't.
Oh dear. It's so sad when friends fall out.
Not when your friend is a backstabbing little bitch.
Bettina, you can't say that. Oh, but, I mean, obviously you can say whatever you like.
Exactly, I can.
Oh, it's still very sad.
I don't think so. Anyway, why are you two here? You said you had good news.
Yes, we have news about a new film. It's a contract. It's a great part for you. Yes, a very great part.
Well, what is it?
Well, you're like a matriarch of a family. You get all the best lines.
It sounds like that Alexis character in Dynasty. That show's over now. That's all very old hat.
Oh, no, this is a completely new spin on it.
Is it? In what way?
In many ways. It's not a rich family, it's a poor family.
Oh, so I have to wear awful clothes and look like a tramp?
It's negotiable. I'm sure, I haven't read the whole script through, but the first episode is great. Yes, I was very impressed too.
I don't like the sound of it. How much do they want to pay me? Is it an American show or a UK show?
It's both. It's like a collaboration.
Oh, well, I was kind of hoping it would be a European production. You know, mainland Europe. You know, the French, the Italians, and then the fashions are always good. But not if I'm going to be playing some dowdy housewife.
It's not a dowdy housewife. Don't be rude.
I can be whatever I like.
Yes, you can, Paul, remember? Of course you can, yes. Well, anyway, I think it's a challenging part. I think it's a great part.
Well, where's the contract? I want to read it through.
The contract.
Well, presumably you brought it with you.
Did we bring it with us? Well, we did we? I think we might have left it in the car. We may have left the contract in the car. I'm terribly sorry. Perhaps we'll go and fetch it. Hello guys. How are you all? Bettina, so nice to see you. Oh, Eddie, Uncle John. Did we leave the contract in the car? Yes, did we? I don't know what you're talking about. The contract for Bettina's new series, possible series. Did we leave it in the car? I'm not sure. What am I supposed to say?
Oh, who are you? Oh, I think I've seen you here before.
Yes, I have been here before.
Are you my chauffeur?
Well, he does drive.
Then you are my chauffeur. Lucian, isn't it?
Lucian. That's my name, yes.
Oh, weren't we having an affair, darling?
Were we? I don't remember.
Don't be so coy. We're both young and single.
Oh, yes, so we are. I keep forgetting that that's the case. Paul? I don't think it's very professional, Bettina, to be having an affair with your chauffeur. No, it just leads to complications.
Oh, I don't think so.
I think I need to go and wash the car now. Maybe that's a good idea. Yes.
Oh, dear. What's wrong with the man?
He's migraines. He gets migraines this time of year. Yes, he was waxing the car earlier. It affects his head.
Oh, does it? How disappointing. Oh dear. I do feel quite dizzy after all this arguing and shouting, and that phone call from Aunt Tappy really did distress me.
Well, it's bound to. It is bound to, Bettina. Now, just sit down.
So where's that contract? The contract, where is it?
It probably is in the car. I can go and have a look. Yes, you do that. Bettina and I will have a word. Okay. Right. Gosh. Yes, I just need to make a quick phone call, I think. Yeah. It's fine. Just hurry along, Paul. All right, I'm hurrying. Oh, dear, I better ring Tappy. What's going on, Paul? Oh, gosh, you made me jump. Well, what's going on? I think, Comedy just wanted to have a quick chat with her, by herself. Did he now? It'll just make matters worse. No, I don't think so. No, it'll be fine. Golly. Oh dear. She thought I was her chauffeur. I didn't know she had a chauffeur called Lucian. Yeah, well, I mean, not that Bettina isn't a very attractive woman, but, she's married. Yeah, well, exactly. She can't be having affairs with hunky chauffeurs. August would not approve. Did you just call me hunky, Paul? Oh, I think I did. It was by mistake. Oh, well, no, I appreciate it. Well, it wouldn't be the first time that somebody's called you hunky or flirted with you. Oh, yes. I can think of quite a few, even on this show. I mean, Cromitty, of course. Mr. Trowbridge likes my ankles. And, I don't know, Warren and I have some sort of bromance going on. But that's just the first thing that come to my head. Yeah, well, we don't need to go into any of that, please. Oh, well, it's gone very quiet in that lounge. Yes, well, Cromitty was just going to be talking to her. And,
How is everything? What's going on?
We've just let Cromitty speak to Bettina by herself because, we were causing distractions that weren't really helping.
Oh, will she be all right?
She'll be fine, August. Soon, she'll be fine. Hello, guys. Would you like to come in? What, all of us? Yes. I think things are okay now. What? Okay. Yes. Well, you must not speak though. What's happened? Well, I hypnotized her.
You did what?
I hypnotized her. She was all of a fluster, and suddenly I was able to click my fingers, and I've talked her through the decades. Really? Yes. Oh, it's marvelous. So come in. I need to bring her out of it, and I want you all to be there when she emerges. Oh, all right. Great. Aunt Tuffy will be pleased. I can't believe all that happened in the time we were out here talking. Yes, well, it didn't take long. Okay, come on. Listeners, maybe you want to listen to another Southern Park clip whilst we congregate, and then, perhaps it'll be sorted by the time you return. This sounds quite positive.
Hello again, listeners. In a last-minute change to the aforementioned Southern Park clip, we are actually going to present to you something completely different altogether. First up, we have a quick chat with Muffley, which was recorded on the 4th December 2022, followed by a new musical composition by him entitled Bounce. Once you have heard that piece, it will be time to hear from Aunt Tappy in more detail about how she got on talking to Buddy Up, before we return to the lady herself to see what techniques Cromitty may have tried on her to help speed up her recovery. I am keeping my eyes crossed that he has managed to help her.
Hey, Muffley, how are you doing?
Very good indeed. I'm currently getting ready to watch the football. I'm not, as you, like a lot of us, I'm not like a rabid football fan, but I take a passing interest, even though obviously with it being staged in Qatar, there's certain things which don't sit easy. But France are playing Poland this afternoon. And so we're going to watch it on French TV. The good thing about French TV and the football is that you don't have an hour of pundits just droning on. It's very much kind of like 10 minutes before, good afternoon, everybody, here's the football. And that's, straight into the match. So, like, they sort of just don't mess about so much. France are playing Poland. And then later on tonight, it's England versus Senegal. And I think it's Senegal. And what happens if France win and England win is that they meet each other in the next match. And so back in the day, this would where the local newspaper would do an endearing sort of news article about divided loyalties, and I'd be there with an English flag, Angelique with a French flag, and sort of who are you supporting, all this kind of stuff. But sort of these days, with how miserable and Brexity the country is, I think we'll keep quiet, because if France do win, we'd probably get a brick through a window. So yeah, we're keeping quiet about that one. I don't think our neighbours have quite forgiven us for when there was a VE Day celebration a few years back, and everyone had the Union Jack flags out. I put a French one up. So, yeah. But my argument was, well, that's the whole point of it. It's victory in Europe. Yeah. So there we go. And that's what I've got planned this afternoon. But as for the weekend, it's been sort of relatively quiet. I dragged myself to the gym. Angelique didn't. She's come down with this bug that's doing the rounds. Do you know anybody that's got the bug at all?
No, not at the moment. I mean, I was a bit worried because I had I had a hospital visit in the week, and which meant going in a taxi and then being on a bus for about an hour to Kingston, and then on another bus, and then on a train. So potentially, of course, I arrived at the hospital and realised, because a few months ago I would have always had masks and things in pockets.
Indeed, that's what I was going to ask. Yeah,
but I kind of I got there and found the one I thought I had in my pocket had probably either fallen out in the taxi, or it was one of these weird taxis where you get in and the door is sort of behind you. It's like a sliding door.
Oh yeah.
And you're trying to plug yourself in, and
indeed.
So yes, but luckily they had plenty of masks as you went in. So But anyway, so I feel fine, and so I think I've been all right. But it's sort of not going out too much at the moment. But
with Angelique's situation, there's the whole thing with her being a teacher, that she's just subjected to sort of bugs left, right, and centre. So it kind of was just a matter of time, really. But when we plan to travel at Christmas to France, I think we'll be masking up again, sort of when we're on the plane and elsewhere. And I think even in French news, they're stating that they want to reintroduce mask usage potentially over the Christmas break, because there's just going to be so many people travelling and spreading stuff. So it's
the masks that they had at the hospital I've not encountered before. They're ones where when you pick them up, it just looks like lots of pleats and stuff, but it just looks like, it's like, well, where'd you put it over your ears? And then I found this little tab, and you pull it, and this tiny thing turns into this massive. It's like origami. I hadn't really come across those sorts of masks before, but and I was thinking, it's going to be really delicate, but it wasn't delicate at all. It was really sturdy, and there's so many different types. I think I was sort of, the masks that I use were sort of cloth ones, and I never really saw many other ones because I didn't go out a great deal. But
we've got quite a wide selection, from sort of cloth ones to sort of surgical ones to sort of French ones as well. And I'm sure sort of there'll be some person who's done a collection, like people collect shopping bags. Someone's going to have like a collection of all these different masks and things. So for me, I haven't come down with anything yet. I've been a bit croaky, but nothing to speak of. With work, we've been sort of quite busy of late. We've had some publications out, and it's very much now, I don't want to use the word winding down, but sort of, people have got one eye on Christmas. So we've got our Christmas meal on this coming Thursday, which was an interesting one because the place that we decided on, because we did like a Survey Monkey thing, classic civil service. We did a vote on it and everything. They kept changing the menu. So at one point, they had the usual sort of turkey with all the trimmings, and then they replaced it with a turkey burger the next week. Then they put turkey with all the trimmings, and I don't quite know sort of what exactly we're going to be eating when we get there on Thursday. So it's going to be a bit of surprise.
If you can think of it, I was going to say, can you think of I'll tell you my two, but can you think of any sort of the worst Christmas meals you've been to with work? The two that I can think of is, we went to like an Italian place in Leicester Square, and all the courses came out depending on what you'd ordered, and so all of the, I don't know, a particular starter came out, and then so it took about half an hour for all of the starters to come out. So by the time some people were eating, other people only just got theirs, and it happened all across the meal, all of the same types of it. So all of the traditional turkey lunches came first, and then all of so nobody was eating together. That was really rubbish. The other one I was going to say was in the upstairs of a pub where everyone was so like, everyone, once you were in your seats, if someone needed the loo, it almost took everybody to have to stand up, or felt really claustrophobic. Those were the two that really stood out. But what about you?
I've got a few. I can remember one in London. I mean, from my experience, London was very hit and miss when it came to Christmas meals. And I remember once we were in a random bit of Marylebone, I think it was, and it was just like, the room we were in was just really soulless. But I think more the fact was, I was in a job that I couldn't stand at the time, with a manager I couldn't stand, And so I was just hoping this meal was going to be finished as soon as possible so I could disappear. But there's a work one that we did some years back now. It was an Italian restaurant as well, but it very much was like production line. You sort of had to be there sort of quarter of an hour before it started, and then there was like this 5 minutes where it was like sort of complete swap over of like the previous people who'd been there for like, was it 2 hours, and then you came in, and it was just so impersonal and just so rushed. And then I think finally, because obviously there's the thing where because we work in the public sector, we don't tend to sort of get stuff paid for us. And it's there was one year that someone decided on our team, right, I found this Christmas meal, and it was like a £10 Christmas meal, and you can just imagine what a £10 Christmas meal tasted like. It was pretty dire. It was pretty dire, but yeah, it's
can depend on who you end up sitting next to, or if you're sitting next to somebody who is more interested in talking to the person the other side of you and kind of talks over you just to talk to I also found that sometimes we'd go because you get different levels of seniority, and sometimes the senior people barely spoke to you during the year.
That's
and then
true.
they were quite surprised when you had life experience. That
I was just going to come on to that. Yeah, when they say, "Oh, I didn't realise you did X, Y, and Z," and like all of a sudden, and it's also sort of whether sort of how much the senior people sort of put behind the bar in terms of sort of drink. I mean, that still sort of seems to be the unwritten rule for us, that like the senior management will pay for drinks and things. So
and also sometimes they're surprised that your summer holidays don't just mean going to Bognor or something. They're kind of surprised that you've stepped out. My goodness, you've afforded to go to Venice or something. It's like, it's not that expensive, really.
Absolutely, yeah, very much so.
I think it was around the time when I was going to America quite a bit, so I kind of remember building up a conversation because I knew that a lot of the staff had been on some sort of secondment to, but like Brussels or something. I knew had been freezing cold, and I'd gone over to America that time because it was a good time for people not going on that trip to take leave. So this was like December, and I sort of built up going, oh, it must have been really bad. Was it really cold? I thought, I used to have been in LA where I was. It was like, well, you were what? It was worth it to see his sort of
talking of parties, and I'll speak in loosest of terms, but someone that we know, there was someone was doing a leaving do, and this other person decided to basically hijack it, so change the location basically to where they were sort of living, and so everyone had to sort of make changes to plans and then get buses and taxis to this other place. And then in the end, this person who'd sort of made all these changes didn't even go. So it didn't make them very popular. And then they just had a Christmas do recently. And you have to admit there's a bit of schadenfreude going on because basically no one turned up because they just thought, well, you've messed us around in the past and why should we sort of, go to this effort? So it kind of caught up with them.
The funniest leaving do or like leaving speech presentation thing I went to was somebody at my college where I think it was probably they were quite senior who were leaving, but that somebody even more senior than them did sort of round up of all their achievements. But then when it came to the person who was leaving, sort of a few words, he had to add all the things that his colleague hadn't mentioned about how, but I've never heard such a thing, where somebody is kind of like, yeah, you've just praised me, but that's not enough. I need to remind you of the other things that I did, how wonderful I am. It was, well, it kind of suited that person. That person had a big ego, but
indeed.
But I've never seen that before or since. But we've got a few sort of exciting episodes coming up. We've got
tell me about them.
We've got our Yudgeness Christmas special, which is going to be our alternative Christmas Yeti Uncle John Day. I think Yeti Uncle John's going to be in for a few shocks. Then, of course, we've got episode 600 coming up, and then, of course, we'll have our review of the year, and then we'll have our New Year episode. So I'm sure we'll get contributions from you in all of those.
With the Yudge Day. is there going to be a Yudgy speech as well? A Yudge Day speech?
It's quite possible. It's kind of new territory for us, I guess. But we just wanted an alternative because we've had 6 or 7 years of Christmas specials, and we never quite know what to do, and we wanted to do something a bit different this year. But I still think he doesn't quite understand what the implications are for this new holiday. But anyway, the listeners will hear when it comes out, of course. So.
Sure.
Anyway, well,
also, are you lined up to do any other sort of podcast things? Are you doing anything on Cinematic Sausage or Vision on Sound or Around the Archives?
Yes, I'm sure there's some Vision on Sound appearances that I've recorded, and I know that I have done Around the Archives article, which I think must be coming out any time now. I know, yes, Cinematic Sausage, certainly. I've been requested, but we haven't recorded as yet. But yes, and of course, Toppy is always calling me over to Pickle Hollow to do bits for him as well. So
of course, sure, yeah. Talking with the Cinematic Sausage, I'm enjoying their sort of Quatermass film overview. They've just done the first bit of that, and it's interesting with the 3 Quatermass films. I'm not counting the John Mills thing, but they've all got sort of their unique things, which I think makes them all sort of special in their own way. It used to be the case that Quatermass in the Pit, the film, was my favourite, but then there's stuff in Quatermass 2 as well, which I really like, and there's sort of, because it's Nigel Neal writing, you can sort of, read things on different layers. But then even Quatermass as well, which is like a sort of body horror thing, and there's like stuff that can sort of you see sort of filter through to Aliens. So no, I'm thoroughly enjoying Martin and Warren talking about that, so that's all good.
Yeah, plenty of good stuff out there. And I saw he'd been designing some little logos of all of sort of associated podcasts that surround around the archives. But although I am the daddy, because around the archive, I kind of inspired around the archives. I don't want to say it, but they were here, they were on the Shy Life podcast first, and so yeah, it's a burden, but I think I can cope.
I know. Yes, be strong. Yeah.
Oh well, I better let you go, and we shall go back to our whatever's going on this episode. And
great stuff. Yeah,
and we'll catch up with you in some of those episodes we mentioned coming soon. So.
No worries. Ali LeBleur as well. Yeah.
Yes. Okie dokie. Bye for now.
Bye bye.
Hello, Paul the Shy Yeti. How can I help?
Oh, Paul, I'm so glad I got you on the phone.
Oh, Aunt Tappy. Did you get to speak to Bettina? Did it help?
Well, that's what I wanted to tell you, dear. It's terrible. I'm afraid it did not go well at all.
Dear.
You were right.
No.
Bettina is in the mindset that we're not speaking. And no matter what I said, I could not convince her that we had made up, because she believes completely about that whole nonsense with that other man. Oh, Paul.
I thought, it's not your fault. We've been dilly-dallying and not being sure what to do, or how much to. We've just. I think we've pandered to this whole situation. We should have got on with it a lot sooner. But we did the best you can, and I mean, by the time we get to the 2010s, then we're almost back to normal. So. Well,
if anything about Bettina's normal, but I know what you mean, dear. Oh, it was terrible. Oh, she was so mad at me, and I just couldn't convince her of the year. No, it's terrible. There
was no other point in that, from the late 80s to 2017 or whenever it was, where you were friends, was there? So it's not like we can nip in at some other point. But,
yes, and well, then there were the whole 9 years I was in that other dimension, and we had no contact. You know, Paul, that occurs to me how interesting it would have been to have met Bettina at the other dimension and discover the evil Bettina with the goatee and everything. Wouldn't that have been curious?
Yes, that would. I guess it can't have helped. Maybe you would have. Maybe you. Aside from that, maybe if you hadn't been away, you might have made up sooner. But by the time you came back, it had been 10 years or more since you'd even spoken, so it's harder to make up for things, isn't it, when it's when there's been a bigger gap. I mean, you spoke very well when we finally reunited you on the podcast, but it is harder if you don't see somebody for, particularly if you've been in another dimension. I have my own experiences with other dimensions, and that's how I know what a problem they can be.
Oh, aren't they dreadful, dear? Oh, other dimensions. Oh, I don't know how we get mixed up in all of these things.
Anyway, well, thank you so much for trying. I guess we just have to let her progress through the decades, and hopefully she'll eventually emerge back to normal.
Well, you'll watch out for her, won't you, dear?
Yeah.
All right. Well, my goodness, I hope she snaps out of it soon. Maybe she could speed through the whole 2010s after all. That was a wretched decade, too. No, not really. But, well, I do hope that something can be done. And, Paul, dear, please keep me abreast of the situation, won't you?
I will, definitely, yes. Okay, well, I better let you go. Thanks for trying, anyway.
Well, I wish I could have done more, but all right, dear, I'll say goodbye now.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bettina, can you hear me?
Yes, dear, I can hear you. Oh, I feel so sleepy.
Bettina, did you enjoy our little journey through the years?
I did, darling. It brought up all kinds of memories, both good and bad.
Yes. We took a stroll from the 1990s through the 90s to the noughties. That was a fun decade.
Oh, yes. I did quite a lot of things then. Those years were, they were kind of almost like the 60s all over again.
Yes. And then the 2010s.
Oh, well, they were a bit mixed. My fortunes weren't always so, so buoyant, as it were. But I made some new friends.
Yes, you did. And now, tell us, what year is it now, Bettina?
Oh, darling, it's 2022, of course. Well, nearly 2023.
That's right, yes. But you have a lot to do. Your friends are here. Yeti, Uncle John, Paul, and August is waiting as well. We're about to have afternoon tea.
Oh, darling, I need to get things ready. Have my guests arrived?
They have, yes. But it's fine. We've got it all ready. We've sorted it all out.
Oh, thank you. How marvellous. Oh, yes, I think I'm beginning to wake up.
Oh, well, yes. It is time for you to wake.
Then I will. Yes, then I will. Oh, good grief. Oh, hello, everybody. How are you all?
Is it okay to talk? Yes, Paul, it's fine. Bettina, it's great to be here. Sorry, you did ask us over for tea.
Oh, darling, it's fine. I just had 40 winks. August, is everything ready? Yes, everything is ready for the boys. Yes.
Hello, Bettina. Lovely to see you. How's your ankle?
How's my ankle? Oh, yes, I fell off the step, didn't I? Oh, I've just been resting up.
Oh, well, I'm glad you're better. I bought you a box of chocolates.
Oh, Yeti, Uncle John, how lovely of you.
I didn't know you brought a box of chocolates, Yeti, Uncle John. Oh, yes, I was keeping it secret as a surprise. I hope it hasn't melted. It's been in the boot of my car for about 3 weeks.
Oh, Yeti, Uncle John, you silly thing.
Well, you know, I like to be prepared. Yeah. And you're feeling better, Bettina?
I do. I feel like I've been asleep for days. But it was only 40 winks.
Good. Great. Well, I was so glad to have you back.
Well, you make it sound like I've been gone for years, darling.
Well, you've been travelling through the years.
Yes, I have. With property. Yes. Sort of complicated. I feel like I was arguing with people. Oh, there was somebody called Lucian. Oh, yes, Lucian. He used to be my chauffeur. Oh, dear.
Yeah, well, I don't think we ever met Lucian.
Oh, no, you didn't. No. Anyway. Right, time for tea.
Yes, time for tea. By the way, do I look anything like that Lucian?
Do you look like Lucian, my chauffeur?
Yes, I just wondered.
Oh, no, dear. No, he was about 25 and about 6'5". Well, you're not quite that tall, and you're certainly not 25.
No, I was, though, once upon a time.
Yes, dear. I don't know why you're asking. Anyway, let's go. Let's go and have some tea.
Oh, yes, that would be good. Oh, that would be good, yes. Listeners, that's all we've got time for.
Oh, are the listeners here? Hello, listeners.
Yeah, they're here. We're just going.
Oh, what a shame. Oh, well.
Yeah, listeners, we've run out of time, so you take care. We'll be back again soon. Looks like things are finally sorted out. Hooray! Oh, dear. What a palaver, eh? Anyway, we've got plenty of episodes in the can, so we'll be back again soon. And hopefully Bettina won't fall off any more stairs. Oh, at least I hope not. Anyway. Oh, right. Okay, bye-bye for now. Bye now. Bye-bye.
all sorted?
It's all sorted, yes.
She's got her memory back.
Well, yeah, she doesn't really know she lost it. She got into a sort of hysterical state after Tappy called. So although it was a bit of an upset for Tappy, that was a trigger. Not Tappy's voice in that it reminded her of her past. It did remind her of the past, but negatively, and that set off a hysterical reaction, which then allowed her to be hypnotised, and then Cromitty was able to talk her through the rest of her years.
Oh, very complicated. Oh, gosh. I hope Tappy wasn't too upset.
Well, not now we've explained, anyway.
Oh, good. Good. Have you told Martin and Tallulah?
Yes, I've told everybody. Everything's back to normal. We did learn a few tidbits about Bettina we didn't know. She had a chauffeur called Lucian in the early 90s who she had a bit of a
relationship with.
Yes, well, something like that.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, still. I'm glad it's all sorted out. Yeah, most distressing for a while, most worrying.
It was, yes. But it's good to have Bettina back.
Yes. Anyway, my phone's ringing. It's Bettina. I better go.
That's right, Paul. Don't keep her on hold.
I won't. Bye for now.
Goodbye, Paul. Thank you for updating me.
No probs. Bettina, it's me, Paul. How are you?
Oh, darling, I'm fine. So lovely to see you the other day. Orcus says I have to thank you for something. I'm not quite sure. I don't quite understand. I think it might be that you all looked after me very well when I was sick with my ankle, and yes.
Well, I feel partly to blame for that because you fell off that kick step when we were talking. So I don't feel like you have to say thank you to me for anything.
Oh, darling. Well, you know. Also, I can't get through to Yeti Uncle John. I keep trying to call him.
Oh, I think he's busy in the Magpie Hut. He may have his phone on silent.
Well, please, if you see him, thank him for the chocolates.
I will.
Well, I'm sure we'll see each other soon.
I'm sure we will. I'm glad you're feeling better.
I am, darling. I feel a bit woolly-headed, but anyway.
Well, sometimes you feel like that after you've been ill, don't you? Anyway. I can hear the theme music, so I better go.
Yes, okay. Yes, I have something to ask you at some point, but I'll leave it for today.
All right then. Bye for now.
Bye, Paul. Take care.
Bye.
I gotta go now. Bye. Gotta go. Bye.
Goodbye.
It's been good, but yeah, definitely time to come home now.
This show is part of the Pride 48 network. Find more shows over at pride48.com.
What's going on now? Oh, it's the Shy Life Podcast. Let's go.
I have a voice. I have a voice.
You have a voice.
You have a voice. We have a voice.
We have a voice.
Unique voices in podcasting.
UnivazPods.net.
Yeti Uncle John? Yeti Uncle John, where are you? I'm just in the Magpie Hut, just trying to put up this plaque. Oh, well, have you got your phone on silent? Bettina's been trying to call you to thank you for those chocolates. Oh, were they nice? Well, she didn't say. Oh, well, I'm sorry. Yes, I think I have. I left it across the room there. Oh, dear. How is she? She's fine. Does she know what occurred? I don't think she's realised, that it's about a week since she fell off that ladder. No, well, is August going to tell her? I don't think so. Not unless she, not unless she remembers. Well, maybe it's for the best. Well, anyway. Yes, Uncle John, your phone's ringing. Is it? Answer it. It's Cromitty. Answer it. Right. Cromitty, it's me, Paul. I'm answering Yeti Uncle John's phone for him. Oh, golly, what's he doing? He's putting a plaque somewhere on the Magpie Hut. He's halfway up a ladder. Really? Gosh. How are you? Where are you? Oh, well, you know, I'm just out shopping. I just wanted to ask him if he wanted some new underwear. Really? You shop for underwear for him? I do if he asks me to. Do you want me to ask him? Oh, I just wanted to say, Cromitty, that I spoke to Bettina earlier and, you know, she seems back to her normal self. You really did do a very good job. Oh, thank you, Paul. Well, I'm glad she's okay. Yeah, she doesn't really know what happened, but that's probably for the best. She just thinks she fell off the stool or whatever it was. Yes. Will you ask Yeti Uncle John? I'm in Max and Spencer's now. I'll go and ask him. Yeti Uncle John? Yes, Paul? Do you need some new pants? Do I need some new pants? Oh, dear. Paul, what's going on? Oh, no, Yeti Uncle John's fallen off his ladder. Oh, no. Oh, dear. Is he okay? Yeti Uncle John, are you okay? Oh, dear. Oh, I lost my balance. I was distracted by you, Paul. Yeti Uncle John, what year is it? What do you mean, what year is it? What year is it? It's 1964. What year do you think it is? 1964? Oh, dear. He doesn't think it's 1964, does he? Yeti Uncle John, you don't really think it's 1964, do you? No, of course not. I was just teasing. Oh, dear. Yeti Uncle John, do you need new pants? Is that Cromitty? Is he asking? He is asking. Yes, please. Red ones with green spots, please. Okie dokie. I'll speak to you soon. Stop tricking Paul. And don't fall off any more ladders. I didn't really fall off the ladder. I just made it look like I did to trick you both. Oh, dear. Well, I've had quite enough of this. Nobody's allowed to lose their memory or think it's another year or anything, at least not for another 12 months. We can't do that plot line again. Yes, that's right. You can't repeat plot lines. So no more amnesia for at least a while. Exactly. I promise. Well, I think I promise. I can't really remember. Oh, stop it, Yeti Uncle John. Oh, dear. I'll go and get his pants. I wish you would. Maybe you can buy him a balaclava as well. I like balaclavas. Yeah, so do we. It muffles your voice. Oh, that's not very nice. Oh, dear. I'll have a look for the balaclavas too. Thanks, Cromitty. Bye for now. Oh, dear. How rude. Oh, dear. I want a cup of tea, but you haven't even got a kettle in here, have you? I should have asked Cromitty. He could have got me a new one. My old one broke. Never mind. I'll leave you to it. Oh, thanks, Paul. Well, what's the plaque for? He says, it's just like me and the Magpies lived here for, like, you know, it's commemorating when we moved in together. How nice. All right. Okay, listeners, we've got to go. All right. Bye for now. Bye now. Oh, bye, listeners. Oh, making my shoulders all crooked. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. That'll teach you to play pranks. Oh, ouch.
Ew. What's that smell?
Shylock Podcast. Perfectly normal.
Hello, listeners. Before we go, we have some extra material for you. Unused material for 2 scenes that were originally recorded for this episode. Let me tell you how this has come about. For some unexplained reason, Paul recorded 2 15-minute introductions for this edition of the show, one on the 27th August 2022, and then another 2 or 3 weeks later on the 16th September 2022. During editing, Paul combined the best bits of these 2 recordings, but inevitably some material was lost. But we have saved it for you to hear, and we present it to you now. There are some definite differences in the second scene extract, as it appears that it was not to have featured in this episode at all. Now that really would have made him cross, and we certainly don't want that now, do we? Anyway, have a listen before we say goodbye, and enjoy!
Hello and welcome to yet another episode of the Shy Life podcast with me, Paul the Shy Yeti. How you doing? Oh, I'm not too bad. So, what are we going to be discussing in this episode? Well, we're actually checking up on a friend. I feel like I'm saying that quite a lot recently. As you know, possibly, Tallulah's not been exactly quite her usual self since the garden party in the early autumn, late summer, early autumn. But then of late, Bettina has also not been too great. If you remember, she fell off a stepladder while she was decorating one of the many bedrooms in her house, turning it over into a little office for herself. I'm surprised she didn't already have an office. Maybe this is a secondary office. But as I say, they do have a lot of rooms, even though they've given away over the years quite a lot of the space in the house. But to a charity, if you don't know, yeah, she Bettina lives in a house that's very large and used to belong completely to her, but over the years she's allowed certain areas of it to be opened up to the public, but she still has quite a lot of space. There was a time when she thought she was going to have to give away even more, but fortunes have changed a little bit more of late. But anyway, I feel bad because she fell off the stepladder when she was talking to me. But anyway, we better run the theme music. I'll update you further in case you haven't heard once we've done that. Okay, I'll be back in a minute. So yes, run that theme music. And what about Ik? I don't know. I don't know what people in the 1970s thought about people like Ik, or whether they'd encountered them. Well, Ik often says that people just look through him, past him. They can't quite register him. Yeah, I think perhaps I don't want to sound bad, but I think perhaps we should leave Ik out of this just this once. Well, I don't think he's around anyway. I think that Uck and him have gone away on some retreat. Oh, really? Yes, an exercise and ukulele retreat. Oh, yes, two of Uck's favourite things. We really haven't seen Uck for a long time now. Do you think he's going to evolve anymore? Evolve, Paul? Well, yes. He was different when he was born, and then he evolved, and there was that period where he was reading horror books and being slightly sinister, and then he evolved again, and exercise and ukuleles are the order of the day and have been for quite some time now. Well, I suppose so, Paul, but a lot has happened, but in terms of years and months, well, he was only born at the end of, at the very end, wasn't he, of 2021, so he's hardly an OAP. No, he's hardly an OAP. Right, well, I think we need to get Yeti Uncle John activated. We need to get over to Bettina and August's house. Do you know if Tallulah's still acting as a companion? I don't know. Tallulah is quite erratic at the moment. I think the last thing I heard from Martin, he said that she was back at the music school, so it might just be August and Bettina. Well, let's see, and we'll try and hook up with Aunt Tappy whilst we're over there. Yes, that would be good. Okay, well, listeners, we're going to travel over to Bettina's house to see how she is. Don't quite know what we're going to find. We're going to try and reinstate the mirrors. We're going to try and get her to talk to Tappy. We're just going to kind of see how she's doing. But I think before we do that, you should listen to, I don't know, a quiz, some Sutton Park, some music. I'm not sure. I'll decide when I'm editing. Anyway, you just keep listening. And something nice will enter your ears. And then after that, we'll be back and we'll be at Bettina's. Or almost at Bettina's. Okay, right. Have a listen. Oh, yes.
You know, sometimes I just really wonder about the show. I really do.
596.
Bless you, Paul.
Let me get my pumped-uppy voice going. Here we go. I think I found it. Alrighty then. I guess I'll start with hello.
We did learn a few tidbits about Bettina we didn't know. She had a chauffeur called Lucien in the early 90s who she had a bit of a
relationship with.
Well, yeah.
Says you need a serial number on the front of the meter.
Yes, well, something like that.
I think it does.
Oh dear.
Bettina is just a darling. That's all I can say.
I'm not going to your friend is a backstabbing little bitch.
Cool.